Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Derek, this is NYY Recaps. So before I get into the top 5 reasons you may be living in a simulation, I want to give a quick intro. This is an off-day, off-topic video. I said that I would be doing more of these. I just want to build up a library of videos that I can keep on my page in a playlist that you can go and just browse it and watch topics that you may be interested in during times when there's no baseball. Also, it's a way for me to share my opinions and to practice, basically, getting on camera and making videos constantly, even when there's no baseball. So, this is about The Matrix, and not the movie, which I'm a huge fan of. It came out on March 31st, 1999 when I was in high school, but the actual possibility that we may be living in the Matrix. There are a lot of scientists that are starting to think that this may actually be a reality, and that what you see around you might just be some kind of a simulation of some sort. So this is a video that I'm porting over from my other channel. It's called The Ski Lodge. I mostly do movie reviews and things like that, but since there's no movies coming out right now, I haven't done a movie review in a long time. But I did want to share this video because I think it's an interesting piece, and it might just expand your mind a little bit and give you something to think about. So here are the top 5 reasons you may be living in a simulation. At the time of this video, we're currently experiencing a worldwide pandemic, the largest civil rights movement in American history, UFOs being confirmed by the military, an election year, rapid and cataclysmic climate change, and even something called giant murder hornets. If 2020 were a Nick Cage movie, you would turn it off because it feels like, a bit too much. But what if none of it is real? Some scientists and philosophers are starting to question whether or not the very reality that we seem to be living in could actually be a computer simulation. Prominent minds like Elon Musk have argued that the chances that we are living in base reality is actually billions to 1. So here are the 5 most convincing reasons to me that we are actually living inside of a simulation. Number 5. Time dilation around massive objects. You're already familiar with the fact that when you open a program or a file on your computer that uses up a lot of resources, your computer may slow down. But what you may not know is that as you get closer to massive objects in space, such as stars or black holes, time itself slows down. Could it be that the biggest, most complex pieces of our universe are just sucking up more of the simulation's resources? Number 4. The double slit experiment. For many years there was a debate over whether or not light was a wave or a particle. Well, it turns out it depends on who's observing the experiment, or more specifically, whether or not that experiment is being observed at all. I'm always terrible at explaining this one, so check out this clip from the Simulation Hypothesis documentary from Documentary House 2.0.
This animation is highly simplified, but you get the idea. Here comes the light. It travels through the double slit barrier as waves. The waves are past the slits but haven't yet hit the detector. And here comes the scientist. His eyes are closed. He's delaying his choice to make this an observed experiment. And then... the results of the experiment didn't solve the mystery. Instead, it got even stranger. Because what was found was that at the moment of decision to observe, the waves became particles. And not only that, but they actually made a record of themselves as having traveled through the slits as particles. Yes, you heard me. Deciding to run the observed experiment causes the waves to become particles, and this causal force extends backwards in time.
One conclusion that can be drawn from this is that if the universe were a simulation, it would only simulate things that are being observed. Much as if you were playing a video game, you only see the parts of the game that you need to see. Nothing else is rendered, as to preserve computational resources. This takes me to number 3, the evolution of computer graphics. If you go back and play some of the earliest video games, they look like this. This is Pong. This is Pac-Man. They are clearly digital video games. Now, contrast that with just 30 years later, the latest graphics on the PlayStation 5. Combined with the rise of virtual reality, it feels inevitable that eventually we'll have video games that look and feel indistinguishable from reality. Anybody want to play a little Pandemic 2K20? Number 2, the Fermi Paradox. The universe is immense. It's been around for a long time, and life seems to have sprung up on Earth multiple times after major extinction events. But where is all of the other life in the universe? So far, we haven't found any. Well, maybe our simulator just hasn't programmed any additional life. Or maybe it hasn't been rendered yet because we haven't gone far enough to observe it. Either way, life should be everywhere. But so far, all we have heard is crickets. Actually, no. Crickets would be alive, but space crickets would be kind of cool. All we've found is background noise, inorganic material, gases. So far, nothing that seems to be alive. There are many possible reasons for this. Life could be just so far away that we haven't found a way to reach it yet. After all, we've only been sending things into space since about the 1950s. We have only explored an immeasurably small amount of the universe. It's the equivalent of taking a spoonful of water out of the ocean and saying, well, there's no whales in this spoon, there must not be whales at all. And number 1, spooky action at a distance. A term coined by Albert Einstein, spooky action at a distance actually refers to non-locality, or quantum entanglement. When two particles become linked, whatever happens to one immediately affects the other. This happens regardless of how far apart the particles are, even light years apart, meaning these actions somehow move faster than the fastest speed in the universe, light. This only makes sense if the universe is a virtual construct. In a virtual construct, distance doesn't matter because all points are equidistant from the processor. So distance is kind of an illusion, which is kind of how it appears to be in our reality. The math tells us it might be true. Honorable mention. This is Sylvester James Gates, a physics professor at the University of Maryland, and he has discovered what he claims is a computer code hidden in the math at the basis of our universe. He calls it quantum error correction, and it would be essential if you didn't want your universe simulation to devolve into chaos. This error-correcting code at the base of all mathematical reality, he claims, protects quantum information from errors due to decoherence or quantum noise. What does that mean? I'm pretty sure it means we shouldn't have murder hornets at the same time as a pandemic.